Yeah. It's that CRAM in action. CRAM is damn impressive. You know, say what you want about the military-industrial complex and everything, but, boy, they sure do come up with some fun-looking toys, don't they? This goddamn thing squirts out more bullets per second than I don't think any other gun in existence. Yeah, that's not a laser beam, folks. That's not a fucking laser beam right there. Woo! No wonder those aliens are hiding from us. We got that CRAM, folks. No, but in all reality, the CRAM is actually used in Israel against Hamas's rockets, among many other uses. But it's not like those rockets are, you know, even without the CRAM. What are those rockets doing? Hamas needs to change up their tech. All right. Power to the Palestinians. You know, they're backed into a corner. The genocide is almost complete. But I'm going to have to side with Gandhi. I'm going to have to side with Martin Luther King on this one. It's not working. The missiles are not working, Hamas. Time to change it up. Easy for me to say, though, right? Whitey, sitting comfortably. You know, I don't have no Israeli person knocking on my door telling me I got to move out. Right? So, really, real easy for me to say, but you know, my opinion is that them rockets ain't working. That chat turned on. Not that anyone's gonna show up anyway. What the fuck do I care? All right, so yeah, we're gonna do some Kakistan news here at the end. Real quick, before we get cracking on the Russia-Ukraine news, just wanted to do another segment in my Cops Lie portion of the show here. These are classic. These are classic. Sheriff, probably a small town, you know, fucking around, driving like a maniac, actually gets pulled over by one of his subordinates because he's doing his job. And it's like, I don't care who you work for or who you are, a politician or the Pope. We can't have you driving like a maniac on these roads. It's my job to make sure of that. It gets pulled over. And, you know, you would think a person who administers the law would appreciate, yeah, I was breaking the law. I should be charged, right? Because I care about the law. I care about the sanctity of the law. I don't want to diminish the law. You know, I don't want to make the law, you know, less meaningful, less impactful, right? Like the proper thing to do is to take your lick. Like, yeah, I fucked up. Take your ticket and go home, right? And think about it. Just trying to get my volume just right here. There we go. So what do you think this sheriff did? Huh? You think this sheriff took his traffic ticket like a man, said, yep, no, you know, you're doing a good job there, officer, doing your job properly, making sure that people aren't driving like maniacs on these roads, including me, treating me like a citizen, because I am a citizen, as a sheriff. I'm sure that's how he acts, right? Because that's, I mean, as a citizen, that's what you're expecting from law enforcement. You know, you're expecting some kind of appreciation for the law. Go ahead and have a listen here. Look and listen. I'm sure that's what we're going to see. I mean, you know, it's not like cops are like, I don't know, you know, it's not like cops feel like they're above the law or something, you know. That would be totally ridiculous, especially in the land of the free, right? I mean, we respect the law so much. I mean, we'll let Kyle Rittenhouse get off because, hey, that's the law, right? I mean, he was just defending himself and, you know, can't believe Rittenhouse fucking scot-free, man. One of the biggest miscarriages of justice I think I've ever seen in my life is Kyle Rittenhouse walking free. That judge, if there was any justice in the world, that judge would be fired immediately. And all of his cases reviewed for bias. But we don't live in a fair world. Here, I'll give you an example. that is loud.
Good afternoon. I'm Officer Henry with the Wilson Police Department. The reason for the stop today is because I clocked you 37 and a 25.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can I get your driver's license real quick, Mr. Bryant?
You really want my driver's license?
I just want to look at it.
Huh?
I said I just
I'm
want.
the sheriff. I'm
All
not giving you my license. I'm the sheriff.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not giving you my driver's license.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. I don't respect you or your position. I'm going to go ahead and do whatever the hell I want.
Sit tight for me real quick.
Gets out of the car. I'm pretty sure there are black men who have been shot for less. Gets out of the car. Well, that's a tasing, at least. At least. An officer tells you to sit tight and you get out of the car immediately. That's all the excuse they need to murder you on the spot. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. And look at this fat fuck over here. What do you mean? What do you mean, sit tight? I'm a goddamn sheriff.
I'm the sheriff of this county?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm the sheriff of this county.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm a sheriff. That means I'm above the law.
All right.
Okay.
You pulled me over. You've made your contact. You gonna
Okay.
write me a ticket?
I mean, I wasn't going to. I was just going to make sure you had your driver's license on you.
I got my driver's license.
I was just I was just asking to look at it, and then I was going to send you on about your day.
Okay.
That's all I was doing.
And listen to this intimidated, cucked up cop. It just, that thin blue line brotherhood bullshit. Bullshit. The assholes like this person right here, are the exact reason why all the good cops don't stand up. And why all the bad cops get defended. That police union right up front to protect you if you murdered somebody as a cop. Oh, what's the matter? That black teenager talking back to you and you shot him in the back? That police union will be right there. Yes, sir, thin blue line. It is a fucking joke. If I was in charge, from the top down, from the bottom up, every police department in the country would be audited. And assholes like this would be shown the fucking door first day. First day. I'd have a list. Yeah, who's this son of a bitch? Get him out of here. Gone, gone, gone. I'd rather have a year one rookie sitting in his position. I understand sheriff is an elected position, right? You can't just fire him immediately. I would do everything in my power. Okay? And that's exactly what should be happening. But it's not. And these little power-hungry fat fucks get to walk around and distribute justice as they see fit. Not as the laws are put on the books, not as the system is built, but as he pleases. As he pleases. That's how justice is administered in this country. Okay? And if you're a black man, you're staring at one of these sons of bitches, you're just hoping he doesn't pull out his gun and say, he's got a gun, he's packing heat, unload the clip. Let's see here. Wilson, Oklahoma. Last Friday, Carter County Sheriff Chris Bryant was pulled over in Wilson near Hewitt Street and 10th Street for allegedly speeding. Not allegedly. So you think any court in this country is not going to listen, is not going to trust the officer when he says you were doing 36 and a 25? Allegedly my ass. When the officer got out to talk to him, he was uncooperative and refused to hand over his driver's license, saying, "I'm the sheriff." Okay. The officer turned to his squad car, asking the sheriff to stay put. Then Bryant left his vehicle, approached the officer, and asked if the officer was going to write him a ticket. The officer said he planned to check his license and let him go, and Bryant waved his license and card, proving he's an officer of the law. Like it means a fucking thing. It's people like him, the reason why people like me don't respect your badge. coppers. You want me to respect your badge. You want me to give you extra judicial power. But then you got little fat fucks like this, making up the law as they go along. When asked for a comment, Bryant later said he was not able to interview because he was working on cases, but sent this statement. Oh, this ought to be great. I apologize for my actions. Oh, boo, boo, boo. I apologize. It was poor judgment on my part to be driving in the excess of the speed limit. Yada, yada, yada. Fucking PR bullshit. There was no need for me to be curt. This man was simply doing his job. Yeah, fucking right. And if there wasn't a fucking body cam, this guy would have ensured that the officer was fired or punished swiftly. The only reason he's putting out a carefully crafted PR statement is because of that motherfucking body cam. Period. The Wilson officer said Bryant came back to apologize a short time later. Bryant was not given a ticket. Ridiculous. Should have been given a ticket. He should have been tased. He should have been told, get back in your fucking car, like any other citizen would. Get back in your fucking car. Go, go, go. Get on the ground. Face on the ground. Knee right in the back of the fucking neck. Face on the asphalt. Put your hands behind your fucking back or I'll kill you. Sound familiar? It would if you've watched any fucking body cam footage. That'd sound real familiar if you've seen any body cam footage of a black man getting arrested for disobeying an officer. Oh, he's so sorry. Needs to be fired. Needs to be shown the fucking door. I only want sheriffs that fucking love the law. This guy should have been happy to take his ticket. Yep, my officer's doing a great job. Yep, I'm doing a good job. I'm hiring good people. I can't even get away with it. I can't even get away with going 10 over until I get pulled over. Yep, I'm going to take my ticket and I'm going to pay it happily because I believe the system works and I love this system. That's not this guy. He fucking spits in the eye of Lady Liberty. He spits in the eye of every citizen that respects the law. Should be shown the door immediately. Oh, it's not that big a deal. You goddamn right it's a big fucking deal. You got this guy walking around, I'm a sheriff. I can do what I want. Oh, hell no. Are you on your way to a fucking crime? No, you're on your way to the Denny's, bitch. Look at that gut. Fuck you. Fuck you and fuck that badge, because it doesn't mean a fucking thing, does it? The disrespect he shows to that fucking badge he's wearing disgusts me. Moving on. All right, the main topic of today's stream, Russia, Ukraine. The fuck's going down? They gonna do it? I think Russia's gonna do it, folks. Oh, did I spell Ukraine correctly in my stream? Fuck, I probably didn't. Fuck, I should have checked that. Oh shit, I look like a goddamn moron. Yeah. Ukraine. Wow, I spelled it right. I'm not a good spell. I'm not a spelling wizard. Okay, get off my nuts. Raine. Ukraine war? What do you think? You tell me. Nobody who's here. Yeah, I talk about real shit. This is the underground, so that's why nobody's fucking here. Maybe if I was sitting around doing a fucking rating of who's prettier. Who's prettier? Felix from Chapo Trap House? Ooh, is he an ultra Chad? Pathetic. Hassan, you're pathetic. Felix from the Chapo Trap House, you're fucking pathetic. Joking around like people's lives aren't in fucking danger. Joking around. Having a good old fucking time while the fucking country's dying. Get a fire under your ass, Hassan. Do something, man. Do something. Holy shit. You sitting around your pink fucking shirt talking about who's prettier? That's what you're doing with your time? Tens of thousands of people watching you? Fuck you. Ukraine, let's see what's going on.
Russian President Vladimir Putin does not want a full-blown war. Russia's reportedly stationed about 100,000 troops on its Ukraine border and sent troops into Belarus, which also shares a border with Ukraine. Biden said Washington's response to a Russian invasion will depend on its severity.
Russia will be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, et cetera. But if they actually do what they're capable of doing with the force amassed on the border, it is going to be a disaster for Russia.
Biden's
Really? Oh, you going to sanction them some more? I don't think they give a shit, Joe. Can you fucking just ask NATO? Just take down one missile, dude. Take down one fucking missile at least. Something. Give them something, man. Something, dude. No, we're just going to continue to militarily encircle you and pretend like we're not. We're the good guys. That's what good guys do. Remember that old Civilization from the game Civilization? That old meme? We're just passing through. Just passing through, says NATO. The fucking military coalition put together to fight the USSR. It's a joke. Are there any diplomats left? I guess they're all in Russia. I mean, are there any fucking diplomats left?
remarks about a minor incursion alarmed officials in Ukraine. Shortly after the news conference ended, Biden's press secretary, Jen Psaki, released a statement clarifying Biden's comments about a minor incursion by saying, quote, if any Russian military forces move across the Ukrainian border, that's a renewed invasion, and it will be met with a swift, severe, and united response from the United States and our allies.
Yeah, no, it won't. You'll throw out some sanctions, you'll pat yourself on the back, and Ukraine will be part of Russia. Just like Crimea. What a fucking joke.
During the news conference, President Biden also predicted Russian President Vladimir Putin will move troops into Ukraine. This is Biden responding to a question from David Sanger of the New York Times about Putin.
I think he still does not want any...
I'm sorry. What the fuck is that
Sanger
guy? What
of the
the
New
fuck?
York Times about...
What the fuck is this, dude? I don't know what this is, but as an IT computer nerd, I want one. I want whatever this is. Can I have one, please? The fucking antennas on that thing. Cool, man. He's got like a laptop hanging up. Man, I want one of these things, dude. Look it up.
Putin.
I think he still does not want any full-blown war, number one.
He won't need a full-blown war to take Ukraine.
Number two, do I think he'll test the West, test the United States and NATO as significantly as he can? Yes, I think he will. But I think he'll pay a serious and dear price for it that he doesn't think now will cost him what it's going to cost him.
Oh, yeah, no, Putin's a real dumbass. He doesn't, he's just going to go ahead and fly into this without any idea of what the fuck's going to happen in the retaliation. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're going to show him, Joe. You're going to show him. Only thing you could show Putin is how to put on your diaper correctly, dude. Every time I make diaper jokes, I got to point out that Donald Trump was actually the legitimate president wearing diapers. But goddamn, man.
And I think he'll regret having done it. I'm not so sure he is certain what he's going to do. My guess is he will move in. He has to do something. And by the way, I've indicated to him the two things he said to me that he wants guarantees on. One is Ukraine will never be part of NATO. And two, that NATO or there will not be strategic weapons stationed in Ukraine. Well, we can work out something on the second piece, pretending what he does along the Russian line as well, the Russian border in the European area of Russia.
Like you were offering some way out here, some off-ramp. And it sounds like what it is at least an informal assurance that NATO is not going to take in Ukraine anytime in the next few decades. And it sounds like you're saying we would never put nuclear weapons there. He also wants us to move all of our nuclear weapons out of Europe and not have troops rotating through the old Soviet bloc. Do you think there's space for there as well?
No. We're going to keep militarily encroaching, which is the crux of this issue. We're just gonna pretend like that's an altruistic thing that we're doing. If I was Russia, I'd be doing what? Am I gonna get shamed into not doing whatever the fuck I want with a country like the United States telling me no, don't be mean? We're probably dropping a bomb on a kid right now from a fucking robot 30 miles in the sky. Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. As I put another nuclear weapon right near your border. Don't you do it. It's a fucking joke. Okay? We have zero moral authority to be telling any country what they should be doing. Especially militarily. And this shit, you think this shit isn't going to come back to hit us? You know, when the chips finally start falling and our threats are just summarily ignored and the only chip we have to play is our fucking military? This is a fucking joke.
There's not space for that. We won't permanently station, but the idea we're going to actually increase troop presence in Poland or Romania, et cetera, if in fact he moves. Because we have a sacred obligation in Article 5 to defend those countries. They are part of NATO. We don't have that obligation relative to Ukraine.
It's defense,
we
guys.
Have great concern about it.
It's defense. It's defense, because that's exactly what you do with your military when you're defending yourself. Is that you build up a big troop presence right along the border of another country. That's what you do for defense.
What happens in Ukraine?
That's President Biden speaking at his 2-hour news conference Wednesday. Secretary of State Tony Blinken's planning to meet with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov Friday. Blinken's meeting with some of his NATO counterparts in Berlin today and was in Kiev Wednesday. To talk about U.S.-Russian relations, we're joined by Katrina vanden Heuvel, editorial director and publisher of The Nation magazine. She's been reporting from Russia and on Russia for the last 30 years. She's also a columnist for The Washington Post. Her latest piece is headlined, "Stop the Stumble Toward War with Russia." In your piece, you write, in the technical argot of diplomacy, what's going on in the Ukraine crisis is nuts. Katrina, can you first respond to what President Biden said, what the White House took back after, and actually what is going on?
Well, I mean, Amy, first of all, what you just listened to, David Sanger of the New York Times, who's been on the beat to promote conflict or war with Russia Ukraine for several years. What's going on is that the most immediate task is to diffuse the immediate crisis. And you can hear in the interstitial pieces of Biden, if you decipher what he said, that there is room. If there was creative diplomacy, if there was as much time spent pondering what Putin's going to do or worrying about not even worrying, diplomacy, but ginning up war. What's clear is that 3 presidents, Obama, Trump, and even Biden, have said that Ukraine is not a national security, vital security interest of the United States. No president at this moment is going to send men and women to Ukraine to fight. It has become a proxy war, however. It's been geopoliticized when, in fact, it's a civil war. And there is this relationship between Russia and Ukraine, and also goes back to the bigger issue, Amy, of NATO expansion. In 1997, there was a vigorous debate in this country about NATO expansion, and key people who knew Russia well warned it would lead to a new Cold War. So here we are, And I think we're living at a time, Amy, of pandemic, of racial division.
Once again, if I was Russia, I don't know if I'd be doing anything differently. Because we have the world's strongest military setting up bases, loading them up with guns and troops on my fucking border. Yeah, no, we're not Gandhi, folks. Okay? And those troops, they don't carry fucking, food in their backpacks. Okay? Those aren't food guns that they're carrying. Okay? I mean, how else could you? Okay.
Of staggering economic inequality, of climate crisis, and to go to war or even to contemplate these two new Cold Wars, Russia and China, seems to me nuts. And more attention should be paid to how we can exit these conflicts, how we can find a way for an independent Ukraine, free and whole, between East and West, as opposed to all this talk about more military massing on the border, or even, and I'll end here, the New York Times the other day planting anonymous intelligence sources warning of a false flag operation, which would create a pretext for Russian invasion. There is that danger. Why I use the word stumble is that it, looks a little like World War I, where some accident could happen. You got two nuclear armed countries. And I think instead of focusing on troops and this, let's find a tough diplomatic solution, and let's begin the arms control work that needs to be done. The INF could be brought back. It was abolished by John Bolton and Trump, 2019. Today's the doomsday clock announcement. Will it be closer to midnight, which is perilous? Lots of work to be done instead of all this talk about war, troops.
Well, Katrina, we'll go back in a second to, as you said, possible diplomatic resolution to the conflict, Blinken's meetings in the last couple of days and tomorrow meeting with Lavrov. But you mentioned, and this is a critical issue, the question of NATO expansion since 1997. I mean, it's staggering. There have been a very large number of countries that have joined since 1997, Eastern European countries, Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic, Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Albania, Croatia, Montenegro, and most recently, North Macedonia. So two questions. First of all, could you explain why Russia is especially concerned about Ukraine joining NATO, and also what the significance, the importance of what the function is of NATO now that it's been decades now that the Warsaw Pact was dissolved?
That is the central question, Sharmina. I mean, when the Warsaw Pact was dissolved, naturally one would think NATO would be dissolved and we would find a new security architecture that wasn't a militarized one. By the way, in 1997, people like Paul Nitze, Richard Pipes, McNamara, these people opposed the expansion, but put that aside. The expansion of NATO was the expansion of a military institution, which is dominated by the United States. This is no coffee klatch. This is a group which brings weapons to the fore. You have to buy certain weapons, get in sync with the whole operation.
So that's something I actually learned today. I had no idea that when you join NATO, you're obligated to buy a certain amount of weapons from the United States, I assume. But I had no idea that was part of the alliance, that you actually had to purchase weapons.
There are other institutions that could have created, as Mikhail Gorbachev had spoken of, a common European home from Vladivostok to Lisbon, which wouldn't have been militarized. Russia, the Soviet Union, lost 27 million people in World War II. There is a real continuing fear, even in younger generations, about being encircled. And, we had our Monroe Doctrine. We had our spheres of influence. What if Soviet troops had Russian troops suddenly decided to alight in Mexico? Yeah. Borders matter, especially in the Russian.
Imagine the fucking flip out that we would have if Russia started rolling into fucking Mexico Mexico joins some Russian military alliance, and then Russia starts putting nuclear weapons on the fucking border in Mexico. Would we not find that completely untenable, absolutely ridiculous and insulting? And the fucking mainstream media in the United States has the fucking gall to question why Russia would be offended, by NATO's a peaceful blah, 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 blah. Bitch. I mean, come on.
Historical consciousness, but it's
let's get a picture of him sitting down
right now. Ukraine, unlike the other countries you mentioned, has had a very special relationship with Russia, and Russia with Ukraine. Ukraine is a divided country. It is a country that has a right to be fully independent, but it is very much a lot of Russians are intermarried with Ukraine. Ukraine is not like Montenegro. Yeah. And so I think one has to understand that there is an expression in foreign affairs called strategic empathy. I mean, you try, and if there was standing in the other's shoes, not condoning, but understanding, I think we would be in a better place. Finally, Article 5 of NATO demands that NATO members go to the military assistance of countries which are invaded. I come back to the fact that, first of all, no American president, in my understanding, will send American men and women to fight. There is talk of funding an insurgency in Ukraine. How did that turn out in Afghanistan when we funded the Mujahideen? So there are a lot of issues, but
worked out real great.
Gorbachev was promised.
Yeah, no, the country of fucking civil liberties, and all that. Yeah, we fund death squads, y'all.
After German reunification, that NATO would not move 1 inch eastward. That is to be found in archives, National Security Archive, for example. And there's kind of a thought that Putin is asking for written material because he thinks that might protect him from Gorbachev's fate. I don't think so. But again, I come back to, if there is creative diplomacy, I think you could see a resolution of this crisis. And, to have war at this time is to add to the other wars we confront: climate, pandemics,
etc.
And as far as the negotiations are concerned, Katrina, can you talk about what we know so far about what happened in the meetings between Zelensky and Blinken, and today his meetings with his counterparts in the EU, and what to expect from what might happen tomorrow with Blinken's meeting with Lavrov? Yesterday, also on Wednesday, French President Macron, going against what the U.S. has called for, has urged EU states to speak directly to Russia. Could you comment on that as well?
That I think is very important, and it speaks to a diplomatic resolution that may be able to be revived, either called Minsk, the Minsk Agreement.
Hey, Jerry Go Round, I appreciate that follow. I don't know if you're still watching, but I appreciate that like on Twitter. Thank you so much, Jerry Go Round.
Or the Normandy Agreement, which was originally Germany, France, Russia, Ukraine, not the United States. But I think it's a good sign that European countries may have more independence, France, Germany, in working out something with Russia. And I think, what is happening in Ukraine, I don't know, except that Zelensky's rival arrived in Ukraine, Kiev, the other day, the Chocolate King, who was the previous president, and was arrested and is sitting in a courthouse. What that is, why that's happening now, maybe it exposes some of the real problems in Ukraine. By the way, Ukraine couldn't legally enter NATO right now because its territorial integrity is not whole. I think Lavrov, and I'll get in trouble for this, is one of the most steady and experienced diplomats working today. So I think if Blinken and Lavrov could get beyond some of the kind of rhetoric, you could see some real dealings that would be resolution, perhaps moving back to Minsk.
Ain't happening. How could any negotiations happen if we're completely unwilling to bend on anything? Because that's how the United States negotiates nowadays. You do what we say, or we punish you. That's how a negotiation with the United States goes. You know, it's not, well, hey, look, okay, I'm going to, you know, I'm Russia here. I'm going to remove my troops from the Ukraine border. Could you please reduce troop count in one of pick a state, you know, pick a country and maybe remove one nuclear missile? No, I'm not going to do anything. And you have to do everything I say. That is literally how the United States fucking negotiates. If you're a diplomat for the United States and that's what you have to work with, all you have are you know, congenialities, right? That's all you have to offer is, oh, I'll be nice to you face to face. That's it.
And or finding EU as a vehicle, or finding the OSCE, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. So I think this is hopeful that there are ongoing meetings, because I do think the crisis immediately, the importance of that being diffused, then gives some space.
And Katrina, before we turn to other aspects of Biden's comments yesterday and assessment of his first year in office, one last point on what's happening now in Ukraine. I mean, the U.S. and EU have discussed the possibility of wide-ranging sanctions against Russia as a first step. I mean, there are already sanctions in place. Could you say something about the kinds of sanctions that are being contemplated and the significance of the U.S. possibly cutting Russia off from the dollar-denominated international financial system? What would that mean, and how likely is it?
Well, I think you're certainly hearing a lot of talk about punitive sanctions, you know, onerous sanctions. First of all, one needs to understand there are already layers and layers of sanctions on Russia. In fact, the Democrats put forward their sanction bill the other day, and I believe it was Cruz put forward one. I do think the swift removing Russia from the global trading system could have real implications, but you know, that could push Russia closer to China and an alternative currency, which would not be helpful to the Europeans or to the United States.
That's exactly. I mean, and that's what they're already setting that up to fall back on that. They're you know, they're on the dollar and, you know, for as long as possible, but they got a plan B. They got a plan B in place. You're not going to be under decades of sanctions and not think about, okay, well, what's going to happen if we're just completely removed from the system, right? I think America is the one who's going to be surprised. Joe's all talking about, oh, I think Putin's going to be surprised. No, I think America is going to be quite surprised with seeing just what happens, you know, if they take that step, which they're not going to take that step. I mean, if the political system is any indication, these people have no fucking balls. They have no nuts, right? So I think they're going to let Pooty Poot get away with it. He's going to fucking roll in, take Ukraine. That's going to be it. Oh, we're going to sanction you. Oh, watch out. Yeah, okay, bitch. On to the next old USSR country that we're going to fucking gobble up.
I think again, in Germany, you have the big issue of Nord Stream, the pipeline. It's an interesting moment because
we're going to get to Germany next year.
That is not yet fully approved. There's still some regulatory issues. You now have a new government in Germany. The foreign minister is a Green, and the Greens are opposed to the pipeline for environmental and other reasons. So that may be played out apart from sanctions imposed by the United States. In general, sanctions have not worked. They have made countries more resistant to U.S. pressure. And I think the whole matter of sanction as a foreign policy, in some cases, it's the equivalent of war. The humanitarian cost has to be.
Look what's happening in Afghanistan. Over 1 million children are facing starvation because of our sanctions. Well, I don't want to give the Taliban money. Yeah, okay. But 1 million children are fucking starving. Don't give me your butts. You have zero moral authority. It wasn't me that let the children starve. It was the Taliban. Even though you're sitting there with fucking millions of their dollars.
Thought through.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's not going to work. Okay? Sanctions aren't going to work. And this is what I'm worried about. is that eventually the United States, all their chips are going to be played except the military one. Because they don't even bother with diplomacy anymore. And there you go. That's going to be fucking World War III. All right. Nuclear equipped countries fighting each other. If anyone thinks for a motherfucking second that they're not going to use them when they start losing the war, hell no. Oh yeah, no, China's just going to let their army lose a war without using their nuclear weapons. I mean, using your nuclear weapon basically allows all the other countries that are fighting you to use their nuclear weapons. So it turns into instantly into, okay, how many people on your side can I kill as quickly as possible? You know, it turns into the Dr. Strangelove scene where they're like, oh, well, we just lost New York, but we still got half of California or whatever, you know? Oh, okay, yeah, we just lost 30 million people, and, you know, we just lost San Francisco, but, oh, we still got Dayton, Ohio. That's what it's going to turn into, the Dr. Strangelove scenario, where a bunch of fat cat bureaucrats buried in some mountain somewhere are you know, are risking your life and talking about your sacrifice like they have to sacrifice a damn thing. Anyway, we're going to get Germany's perspective here on this Ukraine-Russia invasion here. This is pretty important to get Germany's perspective on this because we just heard of that Nord Stream pipeline, which is planned. And, yeah, it's pretty interesting. You know, Canada, Germany, they claim to be very green. But when it comes to these oil pipelines, it's like, oh, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. Yeah, I mean, Justin Trudeau over here, Mr. Green Thumb, right? Big fan of the tar sands pipeline, one of the most polluting oil resources you can get because of how you have to process it. And he's gung-ho. Oh, we can't stop this pipeline. We got to do it, Mr. President. He's talking to Joe. Green my ass. Green my ass, dude. The only thing that's green is their fucking fat wallets.
States says Moscow could launch an attack on Ukraine at, quote, any point. Washington is stepping up diplomatic efforts to try and prevent a conflict. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Kiev for talks with President Volodymyr Zelensky. He'll also meet with Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov later in the week and speak with the German, French and British foreign ministers. Russia has deployed more than 100,000 troops on the border with Ukraine, but denies it is planning an invasion. Well, I'm now joined by our...
The fist bumping. Honestly, I don't know what it is about it, but the fist bumping is a little embarrassing. Shake everybody's hand and just put on some hand sanitizer when you're done. It looks fucking stupid. What are you on the corner at 5th and Bronx? You know what I mean? Fist bumping. This is, I don't know. It just doesn't look right I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't, looks kind of whack. Well, fist bump me, bro. I get it, though. It's COVID, whatever. Just seems a little stupid.
Our Kiev bureau chief, Matthias Böllinger, in the Ukrainian capital there. Ooh. Matthias, Blinken is in Kiev to hold talks with the Ukrainian president. What can the Ukrainians expect from this visit?
Well, that's hard to say. I mean, we've seen a flurry of activity, a lot of diplomatic activity in the last few days. The German foreign minister was here on Monday. Yesterday there was a commission from Congress, and today it's the Secretary of State from the US. All this is, of course, to prevent a Russian attack and to get diplomacy going as long as it can. It seems that the US and foreign secret services have decided that a Russian attack or an escalation is imminent, and this activity is, of course, to prevent it from happening, hoping that as long as talks are going on, there will be no shooting.
Matthias, Blinken will go on to meet with his Russian counterpart on Friday. How much space is there still for diplomacy after a whole series of meetings between Western allies and Moscow, including Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock just yesterday, failed to achieve anything?
Well, get used to hearing that. Blinken ain't no diplomat, I can tell you that.
What we can see is that Russia is engaging in this diplomacy. The problem is we do know what Putin's overall goal is. It is to extend or to re-establish parts of the Soviet sphere of influence that the Soviet Union used to have and to bring Ukraine back into this sphere of influence. But we do not know what his priorities are. Is this whole build-up, this military build-up, this scenario made to get the West to talk to him, or is he really planning to bring back Ukraine into his sphere of influence by force? This is the big question that they are trying to figure out.
What's to discuss? Like I said, the United States doesn't negotiate. We bark orders, we wag our fingers, and we puff up our chest and puff up our militaries. We don't negotiate. You do what we say, or we punish you. So this is not to get the United States to talk, to have a discussion. No, this is them saying, okay, the reality of the situation with the United States is that they're intractable. Okay, that they're not going to budge, they're not going to move, nothing. The person of something. Welcome back. It's good to see you. So yeah, no, it's them ignoring the big bad America and just going forward with what they need. Apparently, Ukraine has a ton of natural resources that Russia could benefit immensely from, on top of the military advantage of having a bigger country. So no, this isn't them trying to get America to come to the table. This is them saying, fuck America. There's no point in even talking to America. Yeah, sure, we'll have a discussion. Yeah, we'll play this silly little game. But at the end of the day, we're going to do exactly what the fuck we want. Just like Crimea. What are you going to do? Sanction them some more? Oh, boo-hoo. I mean, they don't fucking care.
And from what Putin's tactics, what Putin's calculations are, will depend whether diplomacy at this point can still be successful or not. It is, of course, worth trying it. That's the consensus in Western countries and in Ukraine as well.
Most people don't realize this, but
God, these religious fucks.
What's your feeling there on the ground? Ordinary Ukrainians, do they feel threatened?
Kiev looks surprisingly calm in this situation. People are going about their daily business. We don't see panic buying of groceries, or we don't see exchange rates drop or anything. People are waiting. People are used to being threatened here. This war has been going on for 8 years now, so people are prepared for a lot. And some people are also preparing for action in case Russia would attack. And I have met some of them.
Matthias Bölling.
This is super interesting. The next part of this, we're going to see these poor local militias here in the Ukraine. These people are very brave. I just hope they don't get massacred.
The DW bureau chief in Kiev. And some of these Ukrainian civilians that Matthias has met are joining up as reservists to help the military in the event of a Russian attack. For many, the experience could not be more different than...
What does my name say? Sad chest noises? What about abandoned nihilism do you think is pro-nihilism? Can I ask you a question? Are you stupid or can't you read?
And their ordinary lives and day jobs.
This is how Marta Yuskiv has been spending her weekends in the past few months. She has joined Ukraine's Territorial Defense Forces, a volunteer brigade designed to support the army in the hinterland in the case of an attack. Marta is 51 and has no prior military experience.
All the stuff that you could just see on the movies or on the documentaries, you know, they seem very simple, but in general, when you started to do it, it's quite difficult because you need to know how to do it correctly.
We're talking about the Ukraine, so get the fuck out of my face, dude.
Not to be in danger for yourself and for your colleagues, so it's quite important skills. Very basic, but very important skills.
Every Saturday, she swaps her suburban home for a training camp. During the week, she works from home for a company that conducts pharmaceutical studies. An idyllic life she shares with her family and more than a dozen stray cats she has taken in.
Taking in the strays.
It's almost impossible to imagine what will happen if I have to leave it, if I have to just fight and it will be destroyed. It could happen. I'm trying to be ready for this because definitely I don't want to preserve this on the price of being live under occupation.
Sure.
If war breaks out...
Yeah, she was. So if you don't quite understand what she was saying, she's like, I don't want to continue. Yeah, cats are amazing. You know, she's saying, I don't want to continue, like, you know, living my life as normal, but under Russian occupation, you know? I would really like, if anyone has any hard data on poll numbers, because there is a sizable population in the Ukraine that wants to rejoin Russia. I'm not saying, you know, Russia is justified in any of this. Totally not, right? Like, Ukraine should be voting for all this stuff. But I would be curious to hear, like, you know, how many people, like, if she went to a local bar, how many people at the local bar would disagree with what she's doing? Like, you know, no, let Russia take us over, you know? The dynamic in the Ukraine, from what I've read, is quite interesting.
Volunteer troops will work behind the lines to secure buildings, provide logistics to the army, and possibly even deal with hostile infiltration.
Oh!
But there are questions about how effective these troops will be.
I mean, I know that's a dog, but it's the best I can do.
Marta's commander, Denis Semirokh Orlik, is an architect. He doesn't have any prior military experience either. We are not servicemen who are on duty every day. We are civilians who have other jobs, but nevertheless, I have been training for 3 years now, and it has already had quite an impact on me.
I can imagine. At the very least, you'll lose some weight.
One thing's for sure, the weekend warriors have attracted a lot of attention. Marta tirelessly explains her motivation to journalists from all over the world, even if that means that her face is now well known also to the enemy.
It's important not to be scared, honestly, because I am in my country, I am not doing anything wrong, and I'm just trying to protect my country. So it's like truth on my side.
Nobody doubts that Russia's troops are militarily superior to Ukraine's defense forces, but Marta and her fellow volunteers are determined to make an invasion as difficult as possible.
This is funny. I look at the cardboard guns. I was wondering why. I was like looking at this guy, like how he was holding his gun and stuff. I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck? But I guess you have to, you know, after you only get to carry a real gun after a certain amount of hours of training or something. But that's cute. They get little cardboard guns to practice with.
Forces, but Marta and her fellow volunteers are determined to make an invasion as difficult as possible.
It's a good idea because you would be shocked at the amount of people that hold a gun like they're holding a wine glass or, you know, holding a stick. You know, and you're waving around this fucking barrel, you know, that could kill anybody any second. And you're just willy-nilly waving around with their finger on the trigger. Right? So, yeah, this makes perfect sense. You're just taking in regular civilians. Yeah, you give them a cardboard gun until you can see that they've disciplined enough to keep the barrel pointed down and keep their fucking finger off the trigger. In fact, I would be criticizing him right now for not carrying this weapon. He's definitely got the barrel down, but you don't carry a weapon by the magazine, you know, near the trigger guard. That's not the proper way to carry your weapon.
Well, for more tonight, I'd like to welcome Jeremy Shapiro. He's the research director of the European Council on Foreign Relations. He's a former advisor at the U.S. State Department.
Fascinating
Jeremy,
interview,
it's good to have you on the program. Let me start by getting your read on this latest news that Secretary of State Blinken and Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov will meet this coming Friday in Geneva. What do you think?
Well, I think it means that the diplomatic track is still open, which is good news. But as your report made very clear, it's not clear that the two sides have gotten any closer together. They are really, I think, feeling each other out, threatening each other, demanding that each side show their cards first. And both sides have been very reluctant to make any movement. But if they want to avoid the worst outcomes, I think eventually they'll have to.
And what do you make of the German rush to double down on diplomacy? I mean, former German Chancellor Merkel, she was considered the Putin whisperer, if you will, in times of crisis. Do you think the new government with Chancellor Olaf Scholz can...
DW is a German-focused news network, just a heads up. OG Lee, welcome back. Motherfucking OG Lee. Hell yeah, welcome back. What do you think, Lee? You think Ukraine? You think Russia's going to do it? I got a feeling that they're just going to go for it. Scuttlebutt on Reddit is saying that they're waiting for the optimal weather to make it happen.
They offer this type of reach and insight?
It doesn't appear that they can do that yet. I'm not entirely clear that Angela Merkel was really able to do that when push came to shove. But certainly at the moment, the Russians seem very, very focused on the Americans, very focused on the bilateral discussions. Obviously, as you said, German Foreign Minister Baerbock was in Moscow today, and it's quite impressive for a new foreign minister to go into that lion's den and speak her mind in the way that she did. But I'm not really sure that that's where the game is. The game appears to be between the Russians and the Americans.
And, there's been a lot of talk since the beginning of last week that what we've got here is a very Cold War-esque setup here with the U.S. and Russia having bilateral talks discussing the future of Europe, Eastern Europe, Ukraine, while the Ukrainians and the Europeans were not sitting at the table. Are we seeing that happen yet again here?
The Iron Neck Pro.
Okay, but I mean... He's not going to send American troops to the Ukraine. Everyone is pretty goddamn confident that that's not going to happen. So what is he going to sanction them more? I mean, some are speculating that maybe he will bring back Manifest Destiny. I was about to say, goddamn, hell no. Everyone's looking for the quick solution, but here's the thing: there's no quick solution for international diplomacy. You know what I mean? It's a give, it's a take, it's a give, it's a take. Maybe 50 years later, you guys got a deal, I think he will now that the troops are home. No, Lee. I mean, Lee, I totally respect you here, buddy, but I personally don't see that happening. Weapons, yes. Sanctions, yes. He wants a war. I don't think a war with Russia is gonna, I see your logic that, it's going to be a war and it'll be his 9/11. I don't think so, man. I think people are pretty fucking fatigued. If anything, one of the only positive things after his initial, getting into office there, was ending the Afghanistan war. I think a lot of people were actually happy with that. So him jumping into another war with Russia through Ukraine, sending United States soldiers to die in the Ukraine? No, that's not happening. But what about this, Lee? Trade some sheep. Look, 50 sheep and a bag of wheat. Barter and trade with the midterm so close. I see your logic, Lee, but I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. But here's a question: no. If Joe Biden wants a turnaround, he needs to send people some motherfucking COVID checks. Oh, okay, yeah. So I can't talk about it, right? How about you suck my dick? Do you know anything about good sloppy blowjobs? Because I'm expecting one, you fucking prick. I don't get to have an opinion about this situation? Fuck you. Enjoy your ban, you piece of shit. The fuck out of here. Flush. Down you go. So here's the thing, Lee. Do you think the United, because we just heard on Democracy Now! That there might be some discussion of attempting to remove Russia from the global, international, trade, right? Basically, there's I guess the United States has this power to prevent them from trading with our dollar. I guess that would just be asking all of our allies to not do any business with Russia. I don't know how that would play out, but I mean, beyond the sanctions, and we got the military, we got sanctions, we got military. What in between there, what could they actually do? You know what I mean? You can cancel college loan debts now. Yeah, no, he could. That's what I'm saying. If Joe Biden wants a fucking boost before the midterm elections, he could actually do some things. The sad chest noises. Are you aware that there's a authoritarian fascist takeover of the United States democracy happening this second? Happening this moment? Are you aware of that? And if you are aware of that, does that not make you angry? Because he's involved with loan debts. Lee, in terms of your prediction about military interventionism, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Joe Biden is going to be sending American troops there. I would actually put money on it. I respect you too much to do a dollar bet, but if I had some other jackass in front of me that wanted to fucking bet that, you goddamn right I'd take that bet. I'd put $5,000 down on that bet that Joe Biden is not going to send American troops to Ukraine to die for Ukraine. They're not even they're not even the NATO alliance, Okay. Well, I'll forgive you for the misspelling there. Maybe you're on a cell phone or something. But yeah, just to be clear, sad chest noises, we are literally minutes away from midnight, if you know what the midnight clock is. Okay, that's nuclear war. Fascists are taking over the democracy, literally passing laws to ensure that your vote means nothing. Okay? We got a bunch of jackass fucking streamers taking everyone's fucking time talking about nonsense. Okay? And and there's about to be a fucking war in Europe. Look at the clock, dude. Clock's about to strike midnight. Almost literally. We're like seconds away from midnight. Okay? That's not me saying that. That's the that's the consortium that handles that fucking nuclear clock. Okay? So if you're not pissed, you're not human. Okay? If you're not pissed, you don't give a shit about democracy. Okay? I love the American democratic experiment, and it fucking disgusts me what I'm seeing. And if you're not feeling that anger, I don't know what to tell you, man. You got Ted Cruz laughing in your fucking face. You got Mitch McConnell thinking you're a fucking moron. Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin think you're a fucking dumbass. If that doesn't piss you the fuck off, I don't know what will. I don't know what do I got to do? Come up to your house and stub your toe? Okay? We're about to lose it all, man. So if you're not pissed, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, okay? I love the democratic experiment happening in America. I think the Constitution is worth saving. Every time I think of that melty fucking bastard Mitch McConnell, I want to choke him to death in Minecraft. You goddamn right I'm angry. And fuck Hassan, fuck Destiny, and fuck Vosh for wasting everybody's time. Complete waste of time. Sorry, is this muted? Sorry.
Interesting. It does seem to be the case, and interesting.
Most people don't realize this.
God damn it. Sorry.
That seems to be one of the Russian demands that has already been met. They seem to miss those Cold War days. I can't understand why, but they really do revel.
Let's hear that question one more time. Sorry.
Sure that's where the game is. The game
let's hear this question one more time.
Between the Russians and the Americans.
And, there's been a lot of talk since the beginning of last week that what we've got here is a very Cold War-esque setup here with the U.S. and Russia having bilateral talks discussing the future of Europe, Eastern Europe, Ukraine, while the Ukrainians and the Europeans were not sitting at the table.
To no longer
Are
be
we
in
seeing
charge.
that happen yet again here?
It does seem to be the case, and interestingly, that seems to be one of the Russian demands that has already been met. They seem to miss those Cold War days.
I take it back.
Understand why?
I take it back. I don't encourage violence against anybody. Okay, I'm just expressing how I feel. Okay, which is extreme anger at the fascists that are destroying the country that I love. I didn't used to love it. I love it. Okay? I love it so much, I'm willing to sit here and fucking criticize it all day. Because you know what? Dissent is patriotic. Okay? Standing up and saying, this is wrong, is patriotism.
But they really do revel in this sort of idea of the U.S. and Russia as the superpowers sitting together, deciding the fate of Europe and perhaps even the world. And the Americans have, to a degree, conceded that. They're very careful to say at every meeting, we won't decide anything without our allies, we won't decide anything about Ukraine without Ukraine, but they're having the meetings. And so I'm not sure what they're talking about if they're not talking about Ukraine. It seems like that to a degree is what happened.
I'll tell you what's wrong with this country, Lee. I tell you every stream, and I'm not afraid to say it. All these sons of bitches are afraid to say it, but I'm not. Okay, it's extremely complicated what's happening in this country. What is wrong with this country? Let's start the one word. If I could eliminate it, that would make everything better. Corruption. Corruption. Okay, I could go for 24 hours, and I have, about what's wrong with this country. And fuck these people. Fuck you, Vosh, Hassan, Pistony.
Is what's happening, but at the same time,
and all that money, all that clout.
Relative to the Cold War, the borders have
pissing
moved
in my
roughly
face.
1,000 kilometers to the east. And secondly, the Americans aren't giving in on anything. They're holding, at least until now, to the faith that their allies have put into them.
Yeah, and we've got most of the European Union. We've got bipartisan support in the U.S. Congress, as well as from the Greens here in Germany. Everyone in agreement that the Nord Stream 2 natural gas pipeline that links Germany and Russia should be killed. And despite hawkish language this week from the German foreign minister, Berlin refuses to move on this pipeline. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think the pipeline is, in the first instance, quite vital to the German energy concept. And secondly, they are hoping that they don't have to sacrifice it. It seemed very clear to me, and I think the chancellor was a little bit oblique, but reasonably clear today, that in the event of a...
Look, man, nobody can sit there, look at you with a straight face and tell you, when it's going to happen. Even these jackasses that are running the clock. I'm just saying the people that are most paying attention, okay, to the likelihood of nuclear war, these people that are watching this doomsday clock, are absolutely saying we're inching closer and closer to nuclear war. Let me ask you, China versus United States, United States versus Russia, two nuclear powers, right, are actually fighting a war against each other, right? And one side starts losing. Do you think that side is not going to use its nuclear weapons, right, when they start losing their wars? You think the United States won't drop another one? That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about one of these nuclear-powered countries getting pushed into a corner and saying, "Well, fuck it, I'm gonna lose anyway. Pull out the Trump card," right? So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what when it's gonna happen or who's gonna happen. No one can say that, right? I'm just saying the people that are paying the most attention, the doomsday clock. Oh, great. Here we go. Here, you know what? I'm not even going to give you a fucking, I'm not even LOL what? Just get the fuck out of here. I'm not even going to give you an opportunity to give me more details on what your thoughts are, jackass. Just fucking leave. If you're not here to participate in this fucking conversation, just fucking leave. LOL what? Nuclear war? What? Cuddle up with your fucking Snuggie, throw on some Netflix, and waste the rest of your fucking life like you were gonna do anyway. nuclear war. You fucking jackass. The fuck out of here.
A sort of major Russian incursion, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline would very much be on the table. But it seems to me that they've been taking the view for many years that this is an economic project, and they're planning to stick to that view. I think this gets to the point that everybody is against what the Russians are doing in the West, but nobody really wants to pay for the solution. And that's to a degree why the Americans have ended up in that room alone.
You know, Kiev wants the West to provide it with weapons to defend itself because the West is not going to go to war over Ukraine. We know that the UK is doing just that. It's providing weapons. You have written about Brexit Britain and its role in the world. What is your read on Brexit Britain, or should I say global Britain, and this crisis over Ukraine?
Yeah, the British role is very interesting. I think that the British are, and the Johnson government particularly, given that it's in trouble at the moment at home, is very interested in making sure that it has a voice. And I think in a way that's quite distinct with what Germany is doing. They are really determined to sort of stand up and put some skin into the game so that they can have some voice at the table. And I think at the moment, they have a better claim to that than Germany does. It's quite notable that Baerbock is in Moscow, and she's giving a very strong moral message about human rights, about red lines. But then you sort of look behind at what's happening in Berlin, and you're wondering, in the first instance, does she really speak for the German government? And even to the degree that she does, what is Germany?
Motherfucking OG Lee, thank you so much for coming through. Showing me that support. I truly appreciate it. OG Lee, thank you so much. Have a good night, man.
Putting on the table in the way that the U.S. and the U.K. and a few others are. When Foreign Minister Baerbock was in Kiev, she specifically said, we are not going to send any weapons at all to Ukraine to defend them against Russia. So
that's Germany's policy.
It's a little bit unclear, I think, to a lot of German partners what these words mean.
Well, that's standard German policy, though, because of the German past.
Thank you for that follow. I hope I won't regret saying that, but thank you for that follow, anti-natalist warrior. Thank you.
Not to be sending weapons into a crisis area. Isn't Germany standing by what Joe Biden has promised, is to return principles and human rights to the core of foreign policy?
I don't know what that means. The problem here
yes, they're sending weapons,
is that Russia is being threatened. Russia is threatening Ukraine. Germany has put down a principle that kind of aggression is unacceptable. They use the word unacceptable very often.
Right.
If unacceptable is to have any meaning, then you have to be willing to do something about it. You could have a lot of views as to what to do. Certainly the most obvious and clearest one, the one that the British and the U.S. at the moment are following, among many other steps, is to make Ukraine better able to defend itself, which puts some meaning to this word unacceptable and puts some meaning behind the principle that Foreign Minister Baerbock and many others are articulating. And if Germany isn't willing to do something like that, maybe it's not weapons to a conflict zone, but it has to be something, then it's not clear to me what principles in international relations really mean.
Yeah, a lot of people saying if you're going to talk the talk, you also have to walk the walk. Jeremy Shapiro, we
principles. Oh yeah, we're gonna send our principals over there. That's what's gonna fucking happen. All right, folks, we got one more story I'm gonna do here. A little follow up to Kakistan. This is definitely related to Russia. Russia's economy is the same size as Italy, and the economy you crush them with sanctions. They're already being crushed with sanctions, right? I mean, that person we were just listening to said, well, that might push him. Oh, actually, no, it was on Democracy Now! That other woman was saying, that might just push Russia further into the bosom of China. And you don't think Putin and Russia aren't ready for more sanctions? You don't think that, you don't think they're calculating that? That's the thing, is that these sanctions mean less and less and less. And then eventually you run out of things to sanction. And then what do you got left? Your fucking military, right? That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that these fucking sanctions, they're just, yeah, they know they're coming. They came after Crimea. That didn't stop them. Didn't stop them from taking Crimea. I don't know why they would, you know, who fucking cares, right? Because when you're dealing with the United States that says, we're not going to budge. We're not going to do a single thing. We're not going to remove a single missile on your border. In fact, we're sending more troops. We're sending more missiles, right? When you're dealing with an entity that fucking refuses just to bend on anything, well, why not just do whatever the hell you want anyway? What's stopping you? What? Oh, America with their moral authority? Oh, you better not hurt anybody, says America? Drone bomb America? Anyway, I see your point, though, Bulletproof Baldy. You know, yeah, there will be ramifications from doing this, but it's my fear that Putin and, you know, and the rest of the people surrounding him have calculated that, and they're like, yeah, it's totally worth the risk. Totally worth the risk. And they're going to follow through with it. But anyway, just following up on the Kakistan coverage I was doing a couple days ago here, just to you know, catch you up a little bit on what happened with Kakistan. It's a good look for Russia. I'm not a fucking, you know, Russia fan over here, but I'm just saying, you know, they had a military alliance. They followed through on their promise. They came in. You know, the military was there for like 2 weeks. They quashed the riots that were justified or otherwise. You know, apparently a lot of the riots were happening from a CIA element. They were trying to destabilize the country like we often do. But instead of occupying the country and trying to take it over like the United States often does, Russia packed up their shit and left. Right? So if you're a country that wants to enter a military alliance with the United States or Russia, which one are you going to go with? The country that will maybe just fucking stay there for over a decade, right? Or the country that's going to follow through on its promises and then leave. Okay? Once again, I'm not Mr. Pro Russia over here. I'm just saying the geopolitical reality is that Russia seemingly follows through on its military alliances and doesn't try to take over, you know, well, it's funny because they might take over the Ukraine. So maybe the Ukraine should try to enter some kind of military alliance, right? Instead of flirting around with NATO. Anyway, so that's kind of what happened that's a layman's explanation of what happened in Kakistan there. This is just a follow-up, on that story. So let's dig in a little bit, and then we'll be done for the night.
A week ago, it looked like Kazakhstan was headed for a revolution. But President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev called on Russia to help him regain control. President Vladimir Putin sent 2,000 troops to Kazakhstan. In the end, the unrest helped Tokayev cement his own power, and Russia to strengthen its influence in the region.
That's right. The big win for Russia.
Tokayev was the hand-picked successor of Nursultan Nazarbayev, who ruled the oil-rich country since 1989, when it was still part of the Soviet Union. Nazarbayev stepped down from the presidency in 2019, but remained head of the Security Council, which controls the military and security forces. Tokayev became president, promising a new political openness.
We will be very much tolerant to the people who voice out different opinions.
The protests tested this pledge. After the government removed petroleum price controls, the cost of fuel doubled overnight.
God damn!
People poured onto the streets, calling for economic reforms and for Nazarbayev to leave politics for good. In the country's largest city, Almaty, demonstrators stormed government buildings, took over the airport, and set fire to a state television station. Tokayev called the protesters foreign-trained terrorists and ordered that security forces shoot to kill without warning.
Yeah, and how much of it is American influence? You know, we'll never fucking know. We will honestly never ever know the extent in which we meddled. But you can feel pretty confident that we probably were stirring the pot.
According to the government, 18 law enforcement officers and 164 protesters were killed. 10,000 people were arrested.
10,000?
Activist Marat Turimbetov took part in the protests in Almaty.
Мы стояли на площади уже мирно, после всех этих погромов, после этого мирно там определенная часть граждан, у меня и видео имеется, растянули растяжки, мы не террористы, мы мирные граждане. Подъехали солдаты, после нескольких выстрелов вверх, они начали стрелять по людям. Человек...
They just opened up? No way!
8-10 ранили. Говорят, даже 2 убили, но мы их еще не нашли. Ну, пропали без вести очень много человек, которые были, мы которых знали, на площади стояли.
А это были протесты против роста цен на газ или чего-то большего?
Это были протесты против смены политической автократии. Так как народ устал от правления одной семейки, от большого разрыва между богатыми, сверхбогатыми, власть имущими и большая часть населения.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, the United States doesn't have enough power to get this many people in the streets. It just, this seems too big to be, you know, like the AstroTurf Hong Kong democracy protests. Yeah, this seems too real to be just an AstroTurf effort by the CIA to destabilize a country. I mean, can you imagine? He picked his successor. Yeah, I want this guy to lead the country now. You don't, you know, and they show them voting. That's what voting in America in 2024 is going to be like. Yeah, you'll put your vote in the box. It won't mean jack shit. Okay? No matter how many people put their little vote in the box, somehow it's the Republicans are going to be put in charge, right? You goddamn right that'd get you in the streets. Should be in the streets right fucking now. I should be in the streets right fucking now, doing this fucking stream in the middle of the fucking street in front of Washington. And I feel shame that I'm not out there right this second. Okay? I do.
Большая часть населения.
It's too huge.
Tokayev replaced Nazarbayev as head of the Security Council. He had Nazarbayev's nephew and one of his top officials arrested for treason.
Okay. This is corrupt
Analyst
shit.
Alexander Baunov says these events have increased Moscow's influence in the region and may have altered Putin's thinking about his own future.
Yeah.
Укрепила ли свое политическое влияние на Казахстан Россия?
Ну да, потому что, конечно, так сказать, обращение к ОДКБ в критические моменты — это политический выбор, который потом отменить невозможно. Но
А как казахские события могут повлиять на мысли Путина о своем будущем?
То есть он увидел 2 вещи, которых опасался. Во-первых, что преемник не воспринимается как достаточно сильная фигура и населением, и, собственно, верхушкой. И во-вторых, что у верхушки проходит раскол по линии «мы согласны с этим преемником» или «мы не согласны с этим».
I think so, yeah. I think it was Kakistan.
Тогда вот этот полюс согласных с преемником и тех, кто не согласен с передачей преемника, они же столкнутся. Вероятность того, что...
Yeah, so this was Putin protecting an autocracy, right? Because it was very friendly to the Russian status quo.
Столкнуться в прямой конфронтации повышается. Ну вот, поэтому как-то вот просчитывая, опять же, прочность этого моста и глядя на то, что в Казахстане произошло ровно то, чего он опасался, я думаю, что он этот мост просто строить не будет. И просто останется.
I see. So Putin perceived that what was happening in Kakistan, that it might inspire maybe his country to try to remove him. I see. So he's like, no, we're gonna quell this. It's, I love it. I love it. I know you're just being silly, Comrade Chicken, but I just love how everyone on the internet, you know, you talk about a subject and you're pro or against it, right? Just a complete vacuum of nuance, right? There's no context. There's nothing. You're talking about Russia? Well, you're pro-Russia then. No, sign up. Don't I have a Russian song here? Yeah, weird Russian song. Yeah, hail Putin. Hail Putin, guys. I'm talking about Russia, so clearly, hail Putin, right? On his fire. It's a good jam.
According to journalist Ayan Kalmurat, the authorities have continued to arrest protesters and reporters. По официальным данным, 10 тысяч человек задержано во время митингов. Где они находятся?
Where the hell are they?
Не знаем. Достучаться до полиции сейчас вообще невозможно. Люди в социальных...
What? They just scooped up 10,000 people and they haven't released them? That's like scooping up all of BLM marching at the George Floyd protests. I'm here for info on it. It's hard to find good sources. Well, the only way to, is to get multiple sources, all right? We watch Democracy Now!, we watch DW, and now we're watching Vice. Right? We just got to get a news bukkake going. You got to get both hands fucking stroking those news cocks, boy. All right? That's the only way. That's the only way. Remember, yesterday I asked you if BLM was following milk. You told me to remind you. Oh, my. Let's finish this clip, and then we'll get into it, comrade.
В Казахстане сейчас массово ищут своих родственников. Они не могут найти своих родных. Среди них есть пожилые люди, есть и маленькие дети.
Scooped up 10,000 people? And they haven't released them?
Нету просто данных, сколько вообще людей погибло во время этих разборок. Поэтому сейчас просто люди спасают друг друга. Но проводит ли полиция какую точную работу по поиске этих потерянных людей без вести? Это неизвестно вообще.
They don't know. It's unconfirmed.
Наоборот, стали задерживать активистов, других мирных митингующих по всему Казахстану. Сейчас несколько журналистов, которые неизвестно об их местонахождении.
Wow. Wow. Hey, Pussy Riot's running against Putin for president. More power to these amazing women at Pussy Riot. More power to them. More power to them. Boy, I wish, I wish we had their guts in the progressive activist movements over here in the United States. The guts that these women have. I can't even find the words to tell you how brave they are. All right? To live in Russia and to spit in the face of Putin. Right? And to do it with a smile on your face takes an unbelievable amount of bravery. Get some tunage here real quick. All right. Thank you very much, Bulletproof Baldy, and if anyone else is sticking around there, thank you for watching. That was my Ukraine-Russia coverage there. You're a jackass. You don't know anything. Look, it's not about whether... I'm not out here. I'm not Vosh, okay, pretending I know fucking everything about everything, okay? I'm learning right along with you. I'm trying to get as many sources as I can to try and figure out the truth. Okay? You got a person telling you, I know everything, I know what the truth is. You need to seriously consider the information you're receiving. Okay? They are fearless. Imagine a Russian prison. I hope I can only imagine a Russian prison because I certainly wouldn't want to be in one. With that said, I might be even more frightened of American prisons, okay? Because look at the statistics of rape. Look at the rape statistics in American prisons. They're off the charts. You're less likely to get raped in a Serbian prison, okay? You're less likely to get raped you're more likely to get killed in a Chinese prison than raped, by the Chinese government, because you fucking avoided taxes and they'll execute you. But they're not going to rape you. In a United States prison, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to get raped and that the prison guards will let it happen. It's disgusting what American prisons do to people. I don't really know, man. I don't think it really convinces the average Russian people when they run in the streets naked. Because their cause is great, though. What the hell are you talking about? Anyway, Comrade Chicken, to answer your question, all right, to be a nice guy, MLK, the message of MLK and BLM, I think with every non-violent black political movement, there's a contingent that says, I want to go with Malcolm X, I want to be more militant, the time for waiting is over, the time to defend ourselves with violence is now. And then there's the contingent that believes MLK, that says we can't have the moral authority if we're out there killing each other. And I think it gets even more complicated, though, because I don't think King, I'm not speaking for King here. I would never, okay? But in my opinion, I don't think King could have seen the rise of, right-wing protest, anti-BLM protesters, because every time BLM has a protest, they now have to deal with a handful of Meal Team 6 military cosplayers who are strapped to the nines, man. They got the assault rifle, they got the pistol. Some of them are wearing body armor, right? So I'm not about to tell a BLM supporter, don't arm yourself. Lay down, do a Gandhi and lay down in the tracks and let Meal Team 6 walk all over you. And that's the only way you're going to win. I just can't do that. So I think what we're dealing with now is that there are lessons from Martin Luther King that we need to listen to. But I also think that we can't be ignoring what Malcolm X was saying either. Is that, and I'm not going to, I don't know all the quotes here. Okay. But I'm just saying, Malcolm X was saying, these people aren't going to listen to us. They're not going to listen to us unless they're forced to listen to us. In a way, they were both right. Right. But I don't think, I don't think the answer is to, start shooting people, start getting violent, start breaking windows. A protest movement needs the moral authority. It's essential. If you're trying to create peace, you're trying to create progressivism, you need the moral authority. Back in MLK's days, there was the KKK, the militant right-wingers threat was always there. True, but it's not the same. The KKK didn't, didn't line up, while they were marching in Selma, with fully loaded rifles and body armor, and after Kyle Rittenhouse, all you got to do is say, I'm threatened. Oh, I'm threatened. My life is in danger. He pushed me. So, You have to admit, nothing scares these scaredy cat, pussy ass, military cosplayers more than a black man with a gun, right? Because that symbolizes so much. You're not gonna walk all over me. If you want to engage me violently, you will get engaged with violence, right? I think that is an important message. So currently, in the current climate, I do encourage black people to, to fully utilize their Second Amendment rights, right? Because Meal Team 6 thinks we're all weak, thinks we're all cowards and we're all libtards. Like all they got to do is flash their AR-15 and they can just walk all over us. We can't let that stand. We had an armed IRA here for years. It took talking to bring about peace. The militant wing was needed in the beginning. After Kyle Rittenhouse, I think the gloves are off. Self-defense. It's only a matter of time before we have just a straight-up bloodbath. Right? So I'm not about to tell a BLM protester who lives in a state of an open carry state, don't carry your weapon. Don't carry it around like Meal Team 6. Carry it around. Show them you're not scared. And show them you're willing to defend yourself. Yeah, but how can you arm a huge political movement and not become what you're meant to destroy? That's a great question. That's a great question because I'm pro restrictions on gun ownership, especially assault weapons. I'm pro ownership of pistols, pro ownership of shotguns, pro ownership of long rifles, rifles used to hunt deer with, scopes. I am not pro ownership of automatic assault rifles that are more appropriate for a military combat scenario than they are for defending your home. But the law is the law. And like I said, I'm not going to tell a black man to lie down on the ground and let Meal Team 6 walk all over you. And like that's gonna be the solution. Hell no. Because I'm not going to tell somebody to do something that I wouldn't do. Okay? Because I'm not going to tell another man to disarm himself. When the other side just gets to walk around and intimidate and be fully armed. But I do agree. Both sides being armed, all it's going to lead to is another fucking bloodbath. And seemingly that's what the NRA and all these pro Second Amendment guys want. And they think they'll win. They think liberals aren't strapped. They think liberals don't have any guns. They think people on the left aren't willing to defend ourselves. And they're dead fucking wrong. People like Crowder always say shotguns are more deadly than AR-15. Yeah, completely incorrect. Completely. I mean, charlatans and grifters like Crowder will say and do anything if they think it's going to benefit their dishonest acting. They're dishonest actors. They have no. They're fascist. They don't have to worry about language. They don't have to worry about nuance. Whatever they think will accomplish their goal, which is dominance, which is authoritarian dominance. So to go back to your original question, Comrade Chicken, I think, like I said before, it's extremely complicated. I don't know. I wish I could interview the leader of BLM and say, hey, which, you agree with Malcolm X or do you agree with MLK more? And I would think that person would say, well, it's more complicated than that. Because neither one of those individuals could have predicted the political climate that we're in right now. So I think it's a mixture of the two. I think right now we need to promote peace, defend peace, promote discussion. But we also can't just allow ourselves to be, disarmed and walked all over by these obese fascists. Okay, in their brand new boots and their brand new rigs. Oh, I just got it off eBay. I just got it off Amazon. Spotless, not a fucking scratch on them boots. I'm gonna let Meal Team 6 walk all over me? Fuck no. And I would never tell a black man that that's what he has to do for him to be free. Outrageous. But yeah, violence only begets more violence. Eye for an eye means both are blind. I totally agree with that. But here we are, man. We're on the verge of the goddamn purge. Okay? Fascists are literally at our doorstep. I'm not even fucking lying. Okay? And you think after 2024, when Rick DeSantis, right, or a Donald Trump gets in there, and he does his 4 years, and then they just let it, emergency, no more elections. Whatever they do, okay? Whatever fucking chicanery that they're gonna pull. Right? We're just gonna let them walk all over us. Sorry about my shitty computer. This is where BLM completely separates. Don't ever let anyone pull you so low to hate them. MLK is right. I don't know if BLM disagrees with that, Comrade Chicken. I don't think that's an accurate statement to say that BLM completely separates itself from that statement. I don't think that's fair or accurate. But at the same time, we would have to do a deep dive into the statements made by BLM. Because I haven't done that in a while. I haven't seen any recent you know, interviews or, you know, or anything. And that's, you know, that's on me, but that's on mainstream media. They're not covering, you know, they use BLM as a boogeyman. Do you guys live in an integrated society? When I was in Orlando, I didn't see any black people in the neighborhood I was living in. I actually am an American citizen living in Canada because I'm moving my family out of here. So yeah, I mean, I love this country, but I'm not. In my opinion, you know, it's almost over. So I've done what I can to protect my family and get them out of the firing line. But if I'm an American citizen, I still pay taxes. You goddamn right I got an opinion. With that said, I was raised in a rural neighborhood in a trailer park, not around too many black people. At least until I became an adult, and then I moved to Lansing, Michigan. Then I worked with a lot of black people. Taught us to hate. They are not responsible for their hate. I think this is where they fail. All right, well, that's your opinion. I would like to see you back up those statements with quotes from BLM that says, you know, I disagree with Martin Luther King and I disagree with that. Because right now that's just conjecture coming from you. I currently live in Vancouver and I'm trying to get citizenship here. I'm currently a permanent resident. But I'm not interested in putting my wife, you know, putting my future family through a fascist America. I'm not interested in doing that. While I have breath in my lungs and while I'm an American citizen and I'm paying taxes, though, you goddamn right I'm going to point out what I see is wrong. Would I not be a proper American if I wasn't pointing out the major problems with my country? That is your job as a patriot. Okay, is to point out the failures of your government. Look at Captain America throughout all of his fucking comic books. How many times did he stand up against authoritarian America, the USA, saying, no, that's not the America I know. That's not the America I believe in. And if you're trying to tell me Captain America isn't a patriot, then I don't know who the fuck is, man. So anyway, I would like to give the Garbage Fuel Award of the day to Bulletproof Baldy for participating in today's stream. Garbage Fuel would like to thank you for not being a jackass, actually participating in a conversation, in a nuanced, somewhat an intellectual conversation. Never forget the Garbage Fuel is the #1 drink mix company in the world, made with 100% pure garbage juice. Thank you so much, Bulletproof Baldy, for participating in today's stream. I'd like to give big props to Comrade Chicken as well for your continued patronage of my stream. It's greatly appreciated. What I'm trying to say is that people who are on the left and people who consider themselves to be BLM are not really good at saying the left stuff. Well, that's like your opinion, dude. You have anything to back that up? Name calling and cancel culture is really common. Yeah, but everyone's opinion on cancel culture is different, right? One person receiving backlash for saying racism is another person's cancel culture. Okay? People over here defending Dave Chappelle because he's out there saying I'm a proud TERF. Oh, that's cancel culture. You're canceling him. Bitch, no. Someone tells me I am a trans exclusionary radical feminist. You can fucking suck it. You can fucking suck it. That's you saying I want to exclude trans people. Oh, cancel culture. Ooh. So one person's cancel culture is another person's, you deserve to be called out for your bullshit. I don't want to hear that. Oh, things are too woke. Oh, cancel culture. Oh no. Give me some hard data on what you're talking about, Comrade Chicken. Give me some hard data on BLM saying we disagree with MLK. Okay? Don't be just spouting off at the fucking mouth. Oh, this is what I think BLM says. Why don't you just look up what BLM says? get away with shit, but we cannot overlook this whole No. Most people that are getting called out on their shit are getting called out rightfully. So no, saying cancel culture is just another way to tone police. Okay? Just another way to tone police. That's all it is. It's another way to shut up the conversation. I believe in free speech. Okay? That means you're free to say and you're free to be told you're wrong. Okay? You don't get to live in a world where you can just spout off fucking nonsense and not receive any pushback. Get your oh no, things are too woke bullshit out of here. Okay? Because that is a fucking cudgel used to stop the discussion. And I fucking hate that. I fucking hate that when someone tries to use some weaselly little excuse why we can't have a discussion about something. I think it's a weaselly way out of a real discussion, personally. This whole fight against cancel culture and wokeism. It's just another way to stop talking about important shit, frankly. Thank you all the same, though, for coming back, Comrade Chicken. I do respect you. Once again, thank you, Bulletproof Baldy. Big props to OG motherfucking Lee. Right? Peace in that motherfucking Middle East. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East, man. A dream of the day. Sleep tight.
Cancel this culture, biatch. Peace out.